Harry's wife. 101.30. No more sunshine, Sachs. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. With a slight hiatus as a consequence of my need to attend to other matters, we continue with an examination of recent news concerning Harry's wife for the purpose of enabling you to understand why she behaves as she does. I'm pleased to see that many of you in the comments are starting to grasp the essential tenets of why she does as she does. But it's also evident that there are many other people who still ascribe her behaviours to things other than her narcissism, and that's why it continues to be important to point this out to ensure that people fully understand. News, of course, arose that the PR agency Sunshine Sachs, which had so often been a proponent of Harry's wife with regard to enabling her to assert control over all of the various appliances as they appeared in the fuel matrix, enabled her to draw fuel, enabled her to acquire character traits, and, of course, particular residual benefits, especially that of facade management and the obtaining of money, is now no longer playing a role in the world of Harry's wife. RadarOnline.com tells us Harry's wife and Prince Harry dump US-based PR firm who helped extract them from British royals in wake of Queen Elizabeth's death. There might be another reason Harry's wife is agreeing to stay in the United Kingdom besides for Queen Elizabeth's funeral. RadarOnline.com has confirmed the unpopular Duchess of Sussex and her husband, Prince Harry, have severed ties with their United States PR firm, with Sunshine Sachs telling us, "We no longer work with the exiled royals." This comes after an anonymous tipster claimed Harry's wife and Harry are no longer with the PR firm, adding, "Intel is solid." We did some digging, and Harry's wife no longer hawks the high-profile firm on her celebrity service account. The website provides a treasure trove of information, taking pride in providing accurate and up-to-date information on all of Hollywood's hottest stars. Why then is it reporting on her? She's neither Hollywood nor hot. Before the tip was published on @HouseInHabit, Sunshine Sachs' contact details were listed on Harry's wife's page. RadarOnline.com can report that the firm has been removed. However, as of this post, Sunshine Sachs is still displayed on Harry's page, despite our confirmation that they no longer represent the duo. Harry's wife and Harry parting ways with their PR company happened at a time when all eyes are on them. Not only did she recently launch a controversial podcast, but she made her way back to Buckingham Palace to reunite with her estranged in-laws for the first time in years, following the death of Queen Elizabeth. Harry is still on the outs with father King Charles III and his brother Prince William, newly appointed Prince of Wales. As RadarOnline.com reported, Harry's wife dropped out of a lavish Hollywood event just 1 week after Britain's longest-reigning monarch passed away. She put on a brave face, standing beside her husband for the events leading up to Elizabeth's funeral on Monday. But not everyone in the United Kingdom is accepting of Harry's wife's presence. The actress-turned-duchess has been getting snubbed left and right by mourners who have been stationed outside of Windsor Castle. Several crowd members refused to acknowledge Harry's wife or shake her hand when she attempted to greet grievers outside the gates. Royal supporters aren't the only ones giving Harry's wife the cold shoulder. As RadarOnline.com exclusively reported, the Suits actress will likely get nothing of value from the Queen's recently updated will after causing a stir among the family with her Oprah Winfrey interview. We learned that Kate Middleton, now Princess of Wales, is expected to inherit the majority of Elizabeth's 300-piece jewellery collection, worth $110 million. Harry's wife is also reportedly livid with Charles after her father-in-law failed to give her children with Harry, Archie III and Lilibet I, Royal Highness status. Now, of course, as always, I leave it up to you to determine the veracity of this material. News.com, with an article by David Wetzel, also reports on this. Referencing Radar, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have cut ties with their United States public relations firm. Sunshine Sachs confirmed to Radar that they no longer work with the exiled royals. Prince Harry and Harry's wife have been in the United Kingdom for the ceremonies surrounding the death of Queen Elizabeth II. Her son, King Charles III, has taken over the throne as preparations for the Queen's funeral continue to take place. It then repeats essentially what has been reported in RadarOnline.com, and other outlets have gone down this road so. What does all of this mean? Well, is it the case that Harry's wife has decided to dump them? Possibly. Naturally, it is quite common with narcissists when they receive advice, which may well be correct, but doesn't accord with their perception of control, to ditch advisors. This often happens with lawyers. So, for example, where the narcissist is given advice, simply, I wouldn't suggest that you go down that road, it could be disadvantageous to you. Or, if you do that, you're likely to lose. Rather than the narcissist think, well, I'm dealing with an expert who's advising me properly and they know their stuff, invariably the narcissism tells them, this person's an idiot, they don't know what they're talking about. They're clearly incompetent. They don't fully grasp the intricacies and facts of this case. Tell them as such. And in some instances, the narcissist will say to the lawyer, look, I know you're doing your best, but you don't understand this as I do. You don't know the ins and outs of it all. Trust me, this person is going to be a problem, and this is the best way of dealing with them. In other instances, if the lawyer becomes insistent, then the narcissist will terminate the retainer, claiming that the lawyer didn't know what they're doing. And you'll often find certain narcissists repeatedly change lawyers. But it's not just with regard to legal representation. You can see it, for instance, with matters such as help at home, a nanny, the fact of changing different jobs, the fact of changing different medical advisors, doctors, surgeons, etc., changing with regard to stylists, and, of course, PR advisors. Wherever anybody tells the narcissist something which doesn't accord with their own delusion of the world and themselves, so, for instance, red isn't really your colour, darling. I suggest that you go with a more muted palette. The narcissist believes they know far better. You don't understand me. You don't know which colours work for me. You're a fool, an nincompoop, and an arsehole. You're fired. And thus, the hapless stylist is dismissed. In some instances, the narcissist simply doesn't listen, because many narcissists are poor listeners, part of their haughtiness, and in other instances, the relevant retainer of the person advising is terminated. It would not be a surprise, therefore, for Harry's wife to have decided, you're not doing what we want, or your advice isn't working. I am getting repeatedly pelted in the press. There are PR catastrophes, left, right, and centre. You're not advising me appropriately or competently. Of course, what you'll fail to recognise is that most of these occasions are caused by her. It's her own behaviour, and as they say, you can't polish a turd, or you can't make a purse out of a sow's ear. A silk purse at that. The problem is Harry's wife, because of her behaviour and the fact that her brand of narcissism, her style of narcissism, guides her in the moment. Very good at getting what it wants in that moment, but as you know, it causes collateral consequences. She will invariably be advised by people, don't take that route because this'll happen, but she knows better than anybody else. So it may well be the case that she is being advised to take a certain course of action, and this offends her sense of control, and this has happened to such a degree that she's terminated the retainer. This may also sit with the fact that she perceives that she sees that she's struggling in terms of popularity, and of course her narcissism will not let her accept that she's the problem, and instead she has to blame somebody else. It might also, of course, be the case that Sunshine Sachs have quite simply had enough, or they're not getting paid. The fact that they are expensive and Harry's wife needs to keep paying them to pump out the PR puff pieces with which I've explained to you previously, and it might be that the money's drying up. It might also be, or alternatively, the fact that Sunshine Sachs are sick and tired of acting for somebody who no doubt is having major strops, meltdowns, bossing them around, telling them to achieve the unachievable. There's also the possibility as well, as I understand it, the Sunshine Sachs requires its clients to be supportive of one another in public, and therefore, if she's not obeying that, they may ultimately regard her as just too difficult a client to keep hold of. At the moment, we don't know the precise truth as to why the relationship has terminated, save that it has. It's entirely conceivable that she might have done it, but by the same token, given that she's such a problematic character, it's equally conceivable that Sunshine Sachs have basically said, you can fuck this shit sky high, we're not going to represent her. If they've decided that they're not going to represent her any longer, that will of course have amounted to challenge fuel to her, and she won't have liked it. Nobody decides that they act for or do not act for her. She is the decider. She is the doer, not the done to. And of course her narcissism will have told her that they're incompetent, that they are scallywags for behaving in such a way. Either way, her narcissism has guided her to get rid of the retainer, or her narcissism has caused them to have enough of her, whether it's failure to make payment, failure to behave in an appropriate way, or the way that she instructs them, and that she's become a difficult client, and in the circumstances, they've jettisoned her, which will of course cause offence to her through her need for control. All told, another part of the downward spiral for Harry's wife. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.